Hello everyone, welcome to Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. Let's get started laying on our backs. So as you come to lie down on your back, drawing your bent knees into your chest, let's start by just giving yourself a hug. Thank you for showing up. Sometimes that's the most challenging part of the practice. Feel into the way your body is feeling, the way your body is breathing. Can you allow your shoulders to soften further down your back and away from your neck and towards the ground? And then start to gently shake your head. No, just slowly allowing movement in your neck. As you take a deeper inhale, fill your belly, fill your lungs. And then making any sound, open your mouth. Ha. And at your own rate, allow a few more deep exhalations. Howl it out, sigh it out, om it out, whatever sounds you can make as we allow our nervous systems to relax a bit. Take hold of your bent knees and start to rotate your thighs in opposite directions, bringing some movement into your hips. Whew. Switch up the directions. Just inviting some warmth and lubrication into your hip joints. Massaging your lower back, your glutes into the ground. Again, deep inhale, pour the breath through all of your torso from bottom up, 360 degrees around. And then make any sound, let it go. Set your left foot on the ground, turn out your right thigh at the hip, and flex your right foot to cross the ankle on top of your left thigh into a figure four shape. Either stay right here with your left foot on the floor, pressing your right palm gently against the top inner side of your right thigh to help splay it open, or choose to thread your right hand between your thighs, using both hands to catch hold of your left thigh or the front of your left shin. Gently bringing your left thigh a little closer to your chest, just for an easy stretch into the right hip here, not going 100%. You could also nudge your inner right thigh open with your right arm if you're bringing your left leg closer. Drink up a deep inhalation. This time, hold your breath in at the top. Relax your face, relax your shoulders, see if you can sip in a little more air. And then again, make a sound, let it go. Awoo! One more time, deep breath in. Fill it up a little bit more. Keep expanding. Hold your breath in. Make your own sound, let it go. And then let's cross the right thigh over the left thigh, so you're wrapping it. And then open your arms like a T on the floor. Ground your shoulders, slide your hips a little closer to the right edge of your mat, maybe like 3 inches closer. And then gently let your thighs fall over to the left. Now, if it starts to lift your right shoulder away from the floor, go ahead and grab a pillow block or blanket, any prop you have, and place it on the outside of your left leg to catch it, to whatever height you need to catch it. And then let's turn the head to face your right shoulder. As you take a deep breath, can you feel your tailbone lengthen towards the front edge of your mat, away from your crown? And as you exhale, let your belly soften. Let it hollow inward towards your back. Taking just 3 more breaths here. Bring your attention to your right outer hip. You might even place your left palm onto that. And as you exhale, can you gently draw your right outer hip forward, away from your right shoulder, towards the front edge of your mat, gently tractioning your lower spine. Maybe even a couple of lion's breaths here, sort of unpacking your body of any stressors of the day. And that's where you inhale deeply, opening your mouth and eyes wide as you exhale, sticking out the tongue. Let's gently roll the pelvis onto your back, or let's come onto your back. Come back to the midline of your mat. Sit your 2 feet on the ground. Turn out your left thigh at the hip and cross the ankle over your right thigh. That figure 4 shape as you flex your left foot. Now go for the same variation you did on side 1. If you were pressing the thigh, left hand is pressing inner left thigh gently open. If you thread the needle, thread the left arm between your thighs, and using 2 hands, catch hold of your right leg. Just slowly bringing it closer, if possible, as you nudge your left thigh open and keep your shoulders relaxed. So let's add a little more vibrational sound here as we increase the frequency of the vagus nerve and help activate your parasympathetic nervous system. 3 chants of Om. Take a deep inhale. Om. Deep inhale. Om. Last breath. Om. And then cross your left thigh over your right thigh even deeper. Open your arms like a T on the floor. Slide your pelvis about 3 more inches closer to the left edge of your mat. Pick up your feet and then gently drop your thighs over to your right. And then again here, if your left shoulder begins to lift away from the floor, feel free to grab a prop and place it on the outside of your right leg to catch it. Let's turn the gaze past your left shoulder, making sure that left shoulder stays rooted, full in breath. And now as you close your lips, softly narrow the back of your throat and listen to a faint whispering sound as you exhale through your nose. Now beginning to cultivate warmth, steady the focus of the mind through that very faint sound we create in using Ujjayi pranayama, or victorious breathing. Slow, steady breaths. Perhaps you traction your lower back here using your right hand on your left outer hip, and gently pressing your left outer hip forward away from your left shoulder for the last 2 breaths. So those of you that are in our spring book club, the book that we've chosen this month is by Pema Chodron, one of my favorite mindfulness teachers. She's one of my favorites because she just explains meditation and mindfulness so simply and so user-friendly and so compassionately. She talked in her book about an experiment that was done on meditators, on long-term meditators. And they were set up, their brains were set up to MRIs. As you finish this breath, come back to center, uncross your legs, hug your bent knees into your chest, and for several times, rock yourself forward and back, forward and back. So these long-term meditators were hooked up to MRIs so that their brains could be observed as they were meditating. And then when you're ready, come to a comfortable seat, please, Katasana. And they found that when these meditators were lost in autopilot thinking, like they were, going through one of those being swept away by their emotions or just not present, then they found habit grooves actually being made on their brain. And the more they did this, the grooves became deeper and deeper. And this is the actual neurological explanation for why it's so hard to break a habit. It's because we keep making the groove deeper and deeper. And when you realize you've been lost in thought and suddenly there's this gap where you become present again, this recognition opens up a new neurological pathway. So you can actually change, change the direction of those pathways, and you can predispose yourself to a fresh way of seeing. So meditation, that coming back to the present every time, coming back to the present every time, no matter how many times that you need to do it, it is actually doing something wonderful for your brain. It's getting you out of that digging that groove, and you're creating new neurological pathways. And there are other great reasons for meditating, and I'm talking about meditation because that is the 7th of 8 limbs of yoga, and we're highlighting that this week. In Sanskrit, it's called dhyana. Dhyana. So I'm learning a lot about meditation in my yoga psychology class, and my teacher Ashley Turner shared some meditation benefits of meditation for our brains. She said our brain waves slow into the restful alpha, beta, or delta states. As you're sitting here, if you need to open up your shoulders a bit, you can do some gentle circles. And we shift from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system while meditating. We also release feel-good hormones like dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. Also, inflammation, muscle tension, and blood pressure reduce in the body during meditation. And of course, this is a consistent practice, right? This is like a daily practice of meditation of maybe you start with 5 minutes a day, every day, and you increase it up to 20, 30 minutes, some people an hour or more. New neural pathways increase patience, empathy, and positive thinking. They get us out of the habitual patterns that can get us feeling stuck, and it can help us to become creative, innovative, able to create solutions. And then 2 other benefits, they help us, there's a lot of benefits, but these are just 2 more that I'll mention. They help us soften the grip of our thinking mind, the doing mind, and drop into our feeling mind, our sense of being. It's a shift from the linear, logical left brain into our creative, sensual right brain. It helps us connect to the awe of our tangible, sensate experience of being alive. And then lastly, it's a chance to relate differently to our thoughts. How about that? Instead of believing every single thought that comes up, we can actually see it and be like, I'm not going to take that one so seriously. I'm going to go this direction instead. So by increasing awareness, we develop the ability to identify the harsh inner critic. You might be familiar with that. I have that voice many a times. And it's that voice of negative self-talk or paranoia, they're out to get me, or insecurities, I'm not good enough, or comparing ourselves to others, or focusing on what we did wrong instead of how amazing that we've done, or just being so hooked on wrong, right, but instead just seeing the bigger picture and choosing a different path. So those are just a few of the benefits of meditation. You can Google, I'm sure you'll find multitudes. So hopefully that will get you ready for our meditation practice. This whole week, we're going to explore a different technique at the end when we sit for 5 minutes. I'll tell you more about today's later. So as you sit here now, just setting your left hand on your chest, if that's comfortable for you, right hand on your belly, or just hands in your lap. Allow your posture to welcome those deep, conscious breaths. So your heart space feels light, buoyant, open, expansive. The shoulders are relaxed. Your spine feels tall. Your back feels strong and supportive. And your pelvis feels grounded, rooted on the 4 points: pubic bone, tailbone, left and right sitting bones. And just tuning in. What thoughts might be lingering right now? What emotions might be needing to be heard in this moment? Don't have to judge them, you're just simply observing what's here. If there's anything you need to pay attention to. If you have a personal prayer or an intention you'd like to set for today's practice, feel free to bring that to mind. Continuing with your Ujjayi pranayama, where you softly narrow the back of your throat and sustain your breath evenly in and out through your nose. Just a little taste of sitting and observing. Let's bring that sense of open heart, open mind, self-observation through the physical practice. So please meet me in downward facing dog. And when you get there, feel free to take a moment to shift around if you need. Pedaling your feet in place, perhaps, or swiveling your hips left and right. Maybe gently moving your head and helping your neck to relax. Still tuning into that faint sound, not a forceful sound, but it's so faint that you actually really have to pay attention to hear it. And with that, you're creating that sense of open observation, that skill of really paying attention to the present. And now feel your hands as you separate your wrists, your shoulders width apart. Point your index fingers forward so they parallel each other. And can you find a little bit of gripping at the tip of each finger? It's like you have little suction cups at the very tips. But press the base of your thumb and index fingers into the floor as you do that. Bend both of your knees and then lift your hips as high as you can, as far back as you can, so it feels like you have a flat back. Let your head drop, steady your gaze on the ground towards your feet. And now feel the strength of your arms as you're rooting down through those suction cup fingertips and lifting up to your shoulders and hips while dropping your skull. Find a slight rotation of your outer upper arms towards the floor, broadening across your shoulders. And at the same time, firm your belly in towards your back while pressing your sitting bones further back and down, further back. Let your heels descend. It's okay if they don't touch the floor. We're just here for 3 more breaths, holding still, paying attention to what arises in thoughts, sensations. On your next inhale, come forward, plank pose, stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Gaze on the floor about a foot ahead of your hands for a few breaths. Now you could have your legs straight where you're pressing your heels back firmly, activating the front of your thighs, or you could have your knees on the ground. Either way, keep your belly actively lifting towards your back. Shoulders moving away from your neck. So we're going to pass slowly through four-limb staff pose or Chaturanga Dandasana. Take a deep inhale. Keep your back feeling flat as you exhale to glide your shoulders forward about 1 foot ahead of your wrists. Graze your elbows by your side ribs. Passing through Chaturanga, come all the way down. Now decide on your back bend here. Perhaps you start with Sphinx pose with your elbows landing about 1 inch in front of each shoulder. Maybe even gently moving your head there to ease your neck of any tension. Maybe you start in Cobra pose, hands alongside the floating ribs or even on your fingertips outside of your mat. Perhaps rotating one shoulder back and then the other. Maybe looking behind you and then to the other side behind you. Or maybe you start right away in upward dog. If you're feeling very warm in your back, there's no tension in your lower back, you might go into upward dog. So in any of these 3 back bends, can you root down every toenail, even your pinky toenails, and feel an active stretch in your legs? Whatever your back bend, through center, let's take a deep inhalation and broaden your collarbones. As you exhale, hollow your belly, lift your hips high, draw your weight back, downward facing dog, walk your hands towards your feet into a forward fold. Press the ground ahead or your shins, put a little bend in your knees, And then inhale, draw your chest through your upper arms, lengthen your back. Exhale, fold again. Little bend in the knees. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, rising up. Interlace your fingers, flip your palms inside out. Exhale, side bend to your right and make your left foot a little heavier. Inhale, rise up to center, switch the interlacing of thumb and index. Heels of the palms face up. Exhale to your left, side bend, make your right foot heavier. Inhale up to center again. Open your arms wide and exhale, dive into a forward fold. Press your chin to the ground. Inhale, lift your heart, gaze towards the tip of your nose. Exhale, fold in. Heel toe your feet together this time, let them touch. Bend your knees together. Inhale, come into chair pose. Keep your knees in one line. Exhale, backstroke your right arm towards your right wall and turn your chest to face your right wall. Draw your left sitting bone back, staying here. Inhale, sink your tailbone a little bit further. Exhale, still twisting. Draw your shoulder blades down. One more full breath on this side of the twist. Staying in chair, inhale, sweep your right arm down and forward, both arms overhead, look forward. Exhale, rise up, mountain pose. Bend your knees. Inhale, back to chair pose, knees together, feet together. Stay in chair. Exhale, backstroke your left arm towards your back wall, twisting to the left. Staying here for a few breaths. Inhale, sink your tailbone a little more if you can. Send your right sitting bone back. Exhale, keep rotating your chest to face your left wall. Make sure that your right knee is not popping forward of your left knee here. They're in one line. One more deep breath. Slide your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Inhale, sweep the left arm forward and up to meet the right. Sit a little lower in chair. Exhale, hinge from your hips. Walk your hands forward to plank pose. From your plank pose, inhale, pause, lift the navel, broaden your chest forward. Exhale, glide forward through chaturanga, choosing your back bend. Sphinx, cobra, or upward dog. Inhale there. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. This time, let's hold still. Find one spot to gaze at. 3 deep breaths. Bend your knees, look ahead of your hands. At the end of your exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, press with your hands lengthened halfway. Exhale, fold in. Press to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms, rise all the way up. Watch your palms meet. Exhale, join your hands at your heart. Let's start 3 continuous rounds of sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms high. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, rise halfway up. Step into your version of plank or float into chaturanga. Lower as you exhale through chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, sphinx, or upward dog. Exhale, holding still in downward facing dog. Take 3 to 5 breaths there. Allow this moment of stillness to pay even more attention. Is there anything different about your breathing right now? And then as you're ready, bottom of your exhale, walk or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, forward folds. Root down, inhale, rise. Watch your palms meet at the top. Exhale, tracing your midline as though you're blessing your body yourself. Mountain pose. Twice more. Inhale, sweep the space around you. Exhale, dive in. Inhale, expand your heart forward. Walk or float into chaturanga. Continue into your version. of your vinyasa. Follow your pace of breath. With no rush, taking your time to hear your breathing. When you do arrive at downward dog, give yourself 3 breaths. And at the end, walk or float to the top and finish your last Surya Namaskar A on your own. We'll meet again in downward dog. When you arrive in downward facing dog, settle into stillness again. 3 deep breaths. Feel your sitting bones lift up. Feel the front of your thighs press back. On your next inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhaling, turn out your right thigh at the hip, bending the knee. Take an extra inhale and tack your left hip back, relaxing your neck. And as you exhale, softly tap your right knee outside your right upper arm. Then step your right foot inside of your right hand, lower your back knee. Untuck your back toes, root down to your right foot, and then sweep your arms overhead into Anjaneyasana, hooking your thumbs. As you sink your tailbone forward and down, scissor your right outer hip back and lift your frontal hip bones. Can you invite space in your lower back by lifting your back ribs while your shoulder blades descend down them? Coil your chest up, and let's take just 3 more breaths here. Find a sense of open heart and strong back. Now, as you lift the crown of your head so your spine is more vertical again, reroot your right foot so the heel is directly under the knee. With your right hand, take hold of your left wrist. As you breathe in, lift your spine a little taller. Keep your 2 hips facing forward. And as you breathe out, begin to side bend to your right. Lateral extension of your spine for a few breaths each inhale. Lift your spine from your pelvis. Keep your legs still, right foot grounded, and exhale, side bend a little more if that's available. Keep relaxing your shoulders down. Keep lifting your frontal hip bones slightly. And then on your next inhale, rise up to a vertical spine again. Backstroke your right arm towards your rear wall. Extend your left arm towards your front wall so there's a T. And then keep your legs still, but can you rotate your chest again to face your right wall like we did in that chair pose earlier? As you breathe in, restack each vertebra of your spine in your mind's eye from the bottom up. Draw your shoulders down. And as you breathe out, keep spiraling your chest. Maybe even look back towards your right thumb. Two more breaths here. So without any leverage, you're just feeling the strength of your obliques here along the sides of your waist. Now, looking forward, look down right inside of your right ankle. Please plant your left hand there so that your wrist lands directly under your left shoulder. Find that suction cup tip right at the bottom of each fingertip. And make sure your index finger is pointing forward. Really spread the fingers. We can put weight on that hand. Now bring your right hand to your right hip. Begin to slide your right foot all the way to the rear of your mat, spinning the heel down so the outer edge of your right foot is really pressing the ground. This right leg feels solid. Reach your tailbone actively towards your inner right heel. If your balance needs more support, you can cross your left shin behind you towards your left wall. When you're ready, raise your right arm up. Maybe explore flexing your right foot off the ground, pressing the heel actively towards your rear wall. Maybe explore reaching your right arm overhead. You've got a lot of options here for 3 more breaths. Now notice your neck and shoulders. Can you create stability by plugging your shoulder blades down your back, away from your neck, and then broadening your chest, broadening your shoulder blades apart. Feel alive in your belly as you transition, lowering hands and knees to the ground, tucking your toes, and lifting to downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale. Stick out your tongue, lion's breath. Exhale. Close your lips again. Ease back into Ujjayi breath. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend the left knee and turn open at your hip. Breathe in, tack your right hip further back. As you exhale, lightly tap the left knee outside your left upper arm and gently step the left foot inside of your left hand. Set your right knee down and tuck the toes. Firm down with your left foot and raise your arms to come up to Anjaneyasana, switching the cross of the thumb on top, the non-default thumb. And then as you sink your tailbone forward and down, lift your frontal hip bones slightly towards your lowest front ribs. And can you also create more space in the lower back by lifting your back ribs, though your shoulder blades melt down your back ribs as you coil your chest up? Take a deep in-breath, wide across your collarbones, and lift your sternum. Can you feel the power of your legs as if they're scissoring towards each other? One more deep breath. As you inhale, lift your spine vertically. And then this time, catch hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Plug your left foot still. Inhale, lift your spine a bit taller. And then exhale, side bend to your left. Breath by breath. Just exploring the range of this lateral extension of your spine while keeping the natural space throughout your neck. Press to your feet, inhale, rise, come back to a vertical spine. Exhale, back stroke your left arm towards your rear wall, reach your right arm towards your front wall, and then just under your rib cage, twist, turn your chest to face your left wall. Press down through your feet, energetically scissor your legs, feel that stability. So there's the rooting force. And as you inhale, rise up through your spine to your crown. Exhale, deepen the twist. Walk your shoulder blades down your back. You might imagine restacking each vertebra of your spine from the bottom up. Maybe even look back towards your left thumb for 2 more breaths. Can you feel the strength of those crisscross muscles at the sides of your waist called your obliques? Now take a look at the floor in front of you, just inside of your left foot. Set your right palm down there so your wrist is just under your right shoulder and your index fingers facing forward. Spread your fingers wide, find a little grip underneath each fingertip, and then bring your left hand to your left hip. Slide your left foot to the rear edge of your mat. Spin the heel down for Vashisthasana variation. If you're needing more support to balance, slide your right shin across your mat so your toes are pointing towards your right wall. Press down and feel the lift up. The forces work together. Maybe raise your left arm. Maybe raise your left foot, flexing it where you press the heel towards your rear wall. Now tune in to your breathing and steady your eyes on one spot. Perhaps sweep your left arm overhead. Side plank. One more deep inhale, lengthen through both ends of your spine. Slow and controlled, lower down to all fours. This time spinning out your hands to stretch your inner wrists, maybe spinning your fingertips to face the rear of your mat. Let's enter a few rounds of cat-cow. On your in-breath, glide your chest forward and up, draw your shoulders down. On your out-breath, contract your belly and dome your back. Take at least 3 more cycles at your own pace, nice and slow. Flexing and extending your spine. Harmonizing to your own breath. As you're ready, turn your index fingers to face forward. I'll meet you in downward facing dog. Downward dog, step your feet about 1 foot forward closer to your hands. Then widen your feet about as wide as the width of your mat. Prepare for a twist here. With your left hand on the floor or propped up on a block, cross your right hand to catch hold of the outside of your left leg, your ankle or calf. Draw your right sitting bone towards your rear wall to keep your hips leveled. Then spiral your chest to face your left wall as you look under your left armpit towards the sky. Then completely relax your neck here. Let your head fall. Keep twisting for 3 more breaths. Set your right hand down in front of you on the ground or propped on a block. Cross your left hand to catch the outside of your right leg, ankle, calf. Draw your left sitting bone towards your rear wall. Balance the height of your hips. And on your exhale, spiral your chest to face your right wall. Look under your right armpit towards the sky, and then relax your jaw. Relax your neck. 3 more breaths. On your exhale, unwind your spine. Turn out your legs from your hips as you bend your knees to come into your version of a squat. You could grab your blocks or pillow to sit on. You could sit on the floor and set your heels wider apart, or you could hover your pelvis. See what's most available for you right now. As you use your arms to splay your inner thighs apart, feel your pelvis seek the earth so it feels a little heavier, though your heart and spine seek the sky. Broaden your chest, find that open heart, strong back posture here. And then cross your left arm in front of your left thigh. Place your hand on the floor or on a prop. Raise your right arm towards the sky and then turn your chest to face your right. Lean back. Take a deep breath across your wingspan. Exhale, keep twisting thighs, stay open. Option to wrap your right arm behind your back. Maybe your fingers slip to hold the top of your left thigh. Or maybe your left arm crosses in front of your left shin and your hands meet to clasp. And whatever the variation, let's take 3 more deep breaths. And gently unwinding, come back to center using both arms to splay both thighs apart, re-lifting your spine, open heart, strong back. Cross your right arm in front of your right thigh, lower the hand on the floor or a prop, raise your left arm towards the sky, breathe in. Exhale, spiral your chest to face more left as you lean back. Inhale wide across your wingspan. Keep twisting as you breathe out. Maybe explore wrapping your left arm behind you. Perhaps your fingers slip onto the top of your right thigh. Maybe your right arm wraps in front of your right shin and your hands meet to clasp. No better or worse variation. It's listening to your body variation for 3 more breaths. exhaling, release from the twist and bring your pelvis to the ground. Bring your feet together here, close, so that you could wrap your arms around your knees and really come in tight, but still draw your shoulder blades down your back and lift your spine as tall as possible. Get really on the tiptoes of your sitting bones as if they had them. Think of lifting your pelvic floor. Remember we practiced Mula Bandha a few weeks ago? That anal lock, it's that contraction of the anal sphincter, the perineum, as well as the abdominal lock, that contraction of the lower belly and the lifting of the belly towards the rib cage. Keep breathing as you do that. Now backstroke your right hand to the floor just behind your pelvis. Keep your feet together, your knees together. And then raise your left arm, slide the shoulders down, breathe in, sit up a little taller. Use your obliques again, twist to the right as you breathe out. And see if you might cross your left arm outside of your right thigh. If that's not happening, you could wrap your arm in front of your shins and keep twisting. If you have your arm outside your right thigh, you might start to lift your pelvis off the floor, put your weight on your feet, and start to enter a chair twist, revolved chair. Or you could really scoot that left upper arm to the outside of your right thigh. You could plant your hands on the floor so your index fingers are parallel, pointing at your right wall. And then start to lean into your upper arms as you bend them towards your left wall. Revolved crow pose. And if you're doing that arm balance, find that little gripping under each fingertip. Notice your breath. Whatever the option, 3 more breaths. Slowly, let's come back to sitting. Splay your knees apart, catch hold of your big toes or your outer feet. We're going to take 2 seated cat-cows. As you inhale, roll your shoulders back, blossom your heart up towards the moon or the sun, wherever you are. And as you exhale, look down at your belly, contracted and round. One more time, inhale, roll the shoulders back, lift your chest, look up. Exhale, contract and round. Lift your spine, bring your knees together, step your feet together, and then hug your knees. Get really long here through your spine. Then backstroke your left hand to the ground behind your pelvis. Raise your right arm up, take a deep breath. Shoulders stay relaxed. Spiral your chest to the left as you breathe out. Use your obliques. Now you could see if you can hook your right arm, your right elbow outside of your left thigh here. Otherwise, you're holding your shins or your knees with that right arm wrapped in front. If you are hooking the arm, you might start to put all your weight on your feet and enter revolved chair pose, Parita Katasana, maybe joining the hands in prayer. If you are in revolved chair, maybe you start to plant your hands on the ground for revolved crow. Index fingers parallel facing your left wall, elbows bent towards your right wall, and your outer hip and thigh pressing off of your upper arms as you gaze on the ground ahead of your index fingers. Wherever you are, 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, let's return to sitting, this time with your legs splayed open. Cupping the tops of your thighs, roll your inner thighs back so your sitting bones plug into the earth. Or you could grab a blanket, pillow to sit on if that helps. And then place your hands in front of you, flex your feet, keep your knees and toes facing up. Lift up through the center of your spine again. Open heart, strong back, deep breath. Then as you exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. Pause as you inhale. Lengthen front and back of your spine. With pelvis grounded, exhale, maybe crawl your hands further forward or come down to your forearms. Maybe use a block to rest your forearms or your forehead on. We're just here for about 5 more deep breaths. Notice what you notice within this time. Finishing this last breath here. On your next in-breath, with the help of your hands, lead with your chest and slowly rise. Bring your hands to your outer thighs so that you can bend your knees and slide your legs together. Set your feet on the ground, hips distance. If you have a block, take the skinniest width and hug it right in between your thighs. Parallel your feet on the floor. Extend your arms forward with your palms face up. And then think of a tall spine, all the while slowly lowering it onto the ground. Deep breaths. When your skull meets the earth, arms down by your sides, please slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not, just almost. As you hug the block or pretend to hug a block, keep your thighs parallel and slightly spiral your inner thighs towards the ground. So that helps to broaden your lower back. Round the backs of your shoulders and the four corners of each foot. Tilt your chin slightly away from your chest, preparing for bridge pose. So we'll lift up, and at your own count of 5 to 10 breaths, stay up until you're ready to come down slowly with an exhale. When you're ready, inhale, tilt your tailbone up and use that to lift your pelvis all the way up to your bridge. Slow, deep breaths. Walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs if that's available for you. And as your arms stay straight, elbows not bent, if your hands meet, you might interlace your fingers. Your chin slightly tilted back to open your throat. Find the activation of your hamstrings and lightly your glutes. It's the feeling as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes, but don't actually drag them. Counterbalance that with lengthening the fronts of your thighs forward, and that helps to lengthen your lower back in this place. Feel the expansion of your lungs, open heart space. Taking your time whenever you're ready to. When you do lower, just rest your pelvis on the earth. Keep the block between your thighs. About 3 breaths to rest. Decide on what your last back bend will be, whether the same pose, doing it on your own, a restorative bridge, using the block to rest your pelvis on, so the block is right under your sacrum, or coming into upward facing bow. I'll walk you through that if you like. Or flipping over onto your belly, catching your outer feet into regular bow, Dhanurasana. So if up facing bow or Dhanurasana, keep the block between your thighs and swing your arms overhead so that you can bend your elbows towards the sky, flex your wrists, and land your palms face down alongside your ears, slightly turning out your hands. Walk your shoulder blades down your back. Spiral your triceps forward like you have been doing in downward dog, and try to keep your elbows from splaying apart. You want to keep your arms parallel, shoulders width apart the whole pose. When you're ready, lift your pelvis like bridge. Pause, keep breathing deeply. Activate your hamstrings and lengthen the front of your thighs forward. Then when you're ready, bring the top of your head to the floor. Pause there, and perhaps step the hands a little wider apart. Press through your hands and feet, and then lift your head, lengthening your sternum towards your rear wall, lengthening your tailbone towards between your knees. 5 to 10 breaths, whatever your back bend. You are in Urdhva Dhanurasana. When you're ready to come down, bend your elbows, keep them parallel, lower the crown of your head again. And then bring the chin towards your chest so that you can carefully lower upper back, middle back, tailbone rest. And then just like earlier, pause and just rest for 3 breaths. If you need to stretch your outer wrists, if you were in upward bow, you could make a chicken wings with your with your arms, where you bring your outer palms into your armpits and you bend your elbows apart and just let the elbows hug close to your side ribs. It's a pretty intense outer wrist stretch. Deep inhale to your nose. Let's take a long exhale to your lips. Cooling breath. Shake out your hands or roll them out. Let's put the block aside. Bend your knees. Rock side to side. Massage your lower back. Maybe even circle your thighs again. Figure eights is delicious in my opinion. Just letting the arms rest apart and just letting the knees draw figure eights together like you have a big marker between your knees and you're drawing on the ceiling. Slow inhale, let your belly fill up, so abdominal breathing. And then even slower exhale to your mouth, cool off. Help to relax your nervous system. Inhale through your nose and take longer exhales through your mouth. So choose a way of lifting your legs up in a cooling posture that's restful. So you could have your legs up just like this. You could have a prop under your sacrum so your pelvis is a little higher. You might practice shoulder stand if you have no neck injuries. You bring the elbows really close to your side ribs so that you can plug them into the floor. And use your hands to help lift your pelvis and lower back, where your ankles, hips, and shoulders can vertically stack. So make sure if you're taking shoulder stand or plow pose, you're tilting your chin back to not put weight on the back of your neck. You want to maintain its natural curve rather than flattening it on the floor. Some find it helpful to have folded blankets right underneath the upper back and shoulders. So in whatever way you're cooling and calming yourself through an inversion, going upside down, let's allow 5 last breaths there. If you were in shoulder stand or plow, you might opt to take a few breaths in fish pose as you lower. Otherwise, you might choose happy baby or hugging your knees into your chest. Begin to set your body up for corpse pose. Gather any props you may need to support your body to rest in stillness for a few minutes. If there's any tension in your lower back, you might find relief in placing your blocks or a pillow or rolled up blanket across your mat underneath the backs of your knees like this, while splaying your feet apart wider than hips distance. You could even use your thumbs to trace the sides of your spine from mid-spine down to glutes and just help to lengthen your lower back as you settle in. Fronts of the shoulders can be released by rotating your upper arms so that your palms face up, landing the backs of your hands just slightly away from your thighs. Make sure that your neck is at ease. You can gently turn your head and release any tension that way. Let's take one more deep inhale. Imagine breathing into all of your body. So full body breath from the feet to the crown to the fingertips. Sipping in a little more when you think you've arrived at the top. And then make any releasing sound as you open your mouth. Let your body soften into the support and surface beneath it. Close your eyes and allow yourself to be still, present. Shavasana. In today's meditation practice, we'll be practicing what is called Shamatha. Shamatha is a Sanskrit term that means calm abiding. And it's the practice of stabilizing the mind, training the mind to be present, settling the mind in the here and now, awakening to the world just as it is. Placing the mind on an object is the backbone of Shamatha practice. If you'd like to join me for 5 minutes of that, please allow your fingers and toes to ease into movement. Start small, parts of your body easing into larger parts of your body. Stretching, perhaps keeping your eyes closed. Let this movement out of stillness itself perhaps be meditation. So there's no rush, in your own way, maybe turning over to one side. Gradually finding a comfortable seat. You might even grab a cushion to sit on. So the posture in meditation can affect the activity of our minds. Right? If the body is uncomfortable, the mind might be just focusing on that discomfort the whole time. So really find a way that you can sit in a relaxed position. Elevating the pelvis helps if your hips feel tight so that your knees can more easily fall apart. And then notice how your weight is placed through your 4 points at the bottom of your pelvis, your tailbone, your pubic bone, and your left and right sitting bones. Balance the weight out, and then align your spine centered, lifting through each vertebra. As you take a breath in, allow your heart space to rise and expand so the shoulders soften back and down. Feel your back strong as your spine is uplifted. Now you could either rest your hands face down, you can feel grounding, onto your lap, or something I've been practicing from Pema Chodron lately is to actually have your arms floating. And this is called the Zen Mudra. And it keeps the mind from falling asleep, basically. Keeps you alert. So you place the right palm, and I'm not mirroring you here, over the left palm. And the thumbs, so there's an oval shape at the center of your palms, and your thumbs almost touch, but they don't. So that awareness of keeping your thumbs just almost touching, shoulders are relaxed, the elbows are bent loosely, and your arms in front of you. So that's another variation for your arms you could choose. And now in this practice, as Pema Chodron instructs, we keep the eyes open. So find a gaze that allows your head to stay in this natural position of upright. Find a simple thing to gaze at. So it's not a to-do list, it's something very simple so that you can just refine your focus. And then the lips are slightly parted, and that prevents the jaw from clenching or from tensing. And I'm already setting the timer here for 5 minutes. And then all the while, you're just allowing your breath to deeply come in and to easily flow out. You're not forcing your attention on your breath. Rather, you're softening your attention on the simplicity of your breath. The focus is your breath here. If you find that difficult to focus on, you might choose to focus on one part. Point, you might have noticed your thoughts going elsewhere. Remember to come back again to either your breath or that physical sensation that is the object of your focus. And then again, if you notice a thought arise, just label it thinking. Come back again to your focus. Gently bring your palms to meet at your heart as you vow in to thank yourself, coming back each time, remembering that that is the practice. Let's close together, joining in one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.